Cool. Okay, guys. So today we're going to be learning how to code like a professional. But because I am not at the moment writing this, what I'm going to say, so it's going to be a little bit very intense. So first of all, before you start writing computer code, last week we actually do what we refer to as overview of we did overview of what it's how computer program is all about. So we wrote some transfer functions, which I'm going to open here now so that we can be able to see it. So we did open some program. I think I saved them here, and on my desktop you go for we're going to create a folder here, my dashboard, and we're going to call it tutorial. So and I promise that we're going to discuss about blockchain technology. And after discussing about blockchain technology, I'm going to tell you how you can start writing an application. So one thing a lot of people don't understand is computer. What is a computer? A computer actually was designed to make our work easier, which means we have to know how to do the work in real life. So for example, if you are using normal paper to write and you think because you have to keep buying pens, you can actually buy a computer and start writing with a computer, and that's exactly what people do now. To be sincere, so a lot of people don't even use pen nowadays. Then I've actually shared an image whereby you can actually put somebody's face into your own face. These are applications. So application is just your own craft of building stuff that you want to build. That's something you know you can do in real world, but you just want to make it in computer. So in computer, any application you run, which is this, like this application right now, is a program, and is a program, and it's called application because someone have to use it. So you are actually is applied to, you can type into it, and that is its function. So and today we're going to talk about the various type of application you can actually write when you know how to write computer code. This reason is to allow you to understand what programming is all about. Let me do this first to see where my previous program was stored. So last week, what we did last week, was it this week? Yes, I think so. Is that we kind of write an application that would do financial transfer. So this application that we wrote, you might not understand this yet. Don't worry about that. It can just transfer money from one person to another, and the two people here is Tommy. And this application, last week I make it so that you can actually store the values and the account values of these two account people. Uh, if we open this, the file that we store as an account, you can see that here the day it was created, and you can see the money this Obaro have right now and the money Tommy have. So what is an application? So application is about you storing in a particular value, then retrieving those value again and compute something. So you keep record of what you're doing with an application. Not every application keep records, but if you will know where your application keep records. For example, if you want to log in into your email account, there will be somebody is keeping record of your username and password somewhere, so that when you log in, you will have to match it to know which email file to open. Good. So my teaching today will be what is an application. Okay, let's pull this out. And after I talk about what is an application, then we are going to discuss a blockchain, because this is the nearest technology that everybody is talking about, blockchain technology. So I think instead of we to just teach something that does not exist, that does not actually jar the interest of people, we can actually talk about things that bring the interest of other peoples. So good. So let's see. So an application. So we have an applications. So application are programs or a particular solutions. Application are solutions. Let's say a solution. A solution, for example, if you keep forgetting your password or the age of person, you can write an application that will help you do the memorization to find the solution, so that whenever the person asks you what is age of this and what is age of that, you can easily tell them their age. So application is a solution, and because of the platform that we have right now, you can have different type of applications that you can write. So we have, first of all, let's start with watch. So there are smartwatch that you can write an application for. So this application run on a device that are like watch. So there is phone. You can write application for phone. This device run on phone, and they call them mobile application. So it could be mobile application, but watch can be also mobile, but they call the watch application. So you can write an application for watch if you want to. Then there is this particular tablets and computers that you can write an application for, and this time they call it desktop applications. So you are actually writing application for a desktop device where there is a big screen. Then there is another big one, TV, that you can write an application for. So you can write an application for smart TV, and these are applications. Then you can also decide to write an application that run on another application, and application that runs on another application. So you have the web browser is an application that is desktop or TV application or mobile application that can run a mobile application. So the people who design the web browser actually design a web browser that can run on these many devices. So instead of writing application for all those devices, you decided to run application for these particular applications. So these are called browser application or web application. So these are web application. So, and this web application can run on all devices. But there is a problem with this web application, because it's not a native application to the hardware itself. It can be very slow. It could be slow, and you will not have access to some particular functionality unless you have to write plugins for those applications. So that is one and one. So we have multiple applications, okay? We have multiple application types of device. As long as there's going to be a lot of device, you're going to write different applications. So the one of the or another thing is that you can write a customer application to a particular hardware, and this customer application that you're going to write for this hardware, for this particular hardware, can be referred to as an embedded application. So embedded application runs. This application runs in a customized specialized hardware. So the specialized hardware, as we all know, all computers can only work when there is the main guy called the CPU, which is referred to as the processors. So the CPU is the logic and the brain of a computer. Let me show you what a CPU look like to make it more easy to understand. So if I say processors, go to Google, processor. So the CPU is just a layer of chips. So this CPU carry out mathematical functions, so you can use it to add numbers, store values, and these are plenty transistors stack into one another, and they actually can compute particular things within a time. So you can write a customer, you can design your own computer by purchasing one of the CPU, because most of this famous CPU is the Intel called the Intel CPU and the AMD groups of CPUs. So, and there's a lot of CPU out there that the companies have created. So if you can buy one of these, there is a data sheet for these CPUs, and you can create your own application on your own brain. So that is what they refer to as application. So all these hardwares, each of them have their own CPUs. Each of them have their own CPUs, but the application that run on the CPU make it more possible for you to make a general purpose, to write a general purpose application inside another application, to be sincere. So the operating system that we use in all of them, the OS called the operating system, is an application that help to manage the CPU, so that you don't need to know the CPU to write application for an operating system. So that's why we have multiple operating systems running on different devices. So you can write your own operating systems. Operating system writing, you can write your own operating system if you understand CPUs and how they works. So I was so lucky enough that I can actually play around with all these technologies. I can be able to write a embedded program, because this is mine. I can decide to write an embedded program. I can write a wear application, which I've done a little bit once. I've tried with mobile application already. I've done, and I currently work as a desktop application. I've done TV application, and I've done browser application. But some of them I didn't go deep into it, so I'm not going to say I'm an expert in most of them. But yes, I've worked a lot with the desktop application, because this is exactly what you have. Then I've worked with the TV application and mobile application, with browser application at the current. So these are a group of type of application that you can write. Okay. So now, if you have a very good idea that you want to resolve, for example, you want to write an algorithm, and you want to solve an application that will tell people their age, and after you run this application, this nice application, this set of instructions that you told the computer to do for you every time you run it. A set of instruction is like telling somebody how to boil a water. You can say, get the water, and get a kettle. You tell the person to get a kettle, and the person get a kettle, and you can also tell the person to set up a fire. So you can set up a fire. There's going to be a lot of procedure here, so it depends on how detailed you want to go. Then when you set up a fire, you say, put the water into the kettle, pour the water into the kettle. So you're telling the person to put it, and then you put the kettle on the fire. So you can say wait until the temperature of the water is wait until the temperature of the water is 100. So this wait here, actually you just define what we refer to as looping application, because you will keep looking at the temperature to see if the temperature of the water is 100, and if it's okay, he will stop. So if you have a smart kettle, you can design your smart kettle, and this can be an algorithm that you can have. Then you put it on the fire, then you buy a thermometer whereby you can use to monitor the temperature of the water. So you can actually save electricity by writing an application that boil a water for a kettle and start selling your solutions. So all you need to do, get a sensor that will always read the temperature of the water, and the temperature sensor online is Google is one of the Google. You can Google thermometer temperature sensor. Let's bring this temperature sensor. So you can see a lot of temperature sensors, humidity and temperature sensors. So you can buy all these things. You don't need to make them, and you can just come up with your own application. Then you can even heating elements, buy your own heating elements, and one of the heating element you get, you can buy them from eBay or anything and create it, and then you can make your own temperature and your own kettle, then design it so that when it's taking the pressure, and you can do that. So writing application is about knowing what to do. So this can be your own application, a kettle that can be boiled. Then you can buy a relay that you can plug this to, then plug the relay to the socket. So now when the temperature sensor, so this one can be monitoring the temperature, so this can be your module that you plug the kettle to now, so that you can even do it to all kettles, and you put the sensor temperature here, so you can reuse your application with already kettles, so that the temperature sensor will be reading it, and this guy will look when it's 100%, it will cut the circuit and the current will stop, so you don't need to use more electrical circuit. So it's just about your algorithm and how you solve it. So this is what program is. Program is just a set of instructions that is run to carry out every time. So every time is a menu. So it's a menu to direct you what to do. Cool. And so the big question here now is, if you understand what application is, so how do I start writing application? So before you start writing application, you have to know the different way of writing application. One, you can write an application that only run on your mobile phone, and this application it will not talk to any application, just your application. Maybe for example, you have a calculator application that doesn't need to deal with anybody, or you just have an application that works on its own. Maybe take a price study, take a particular information and do calculation and give to the user immediately. This application run on the the correct platform you're using. It does not communicate with anything, it does not talk to anything. But nowadays, mobile applications are designed in a way that they communicate to a particular application somewhere. And in this way, if you want to write a chat application, this is message, you send a message to someone, you send it to a particular application where the receptor has a server. The server will be the central point where all mobile applications have to send a message to. From that message, the application will navigate or route the message to the right person you want. So when you use WhatsApp and you send message, it goes straight to that. I'm going to come back again on this. I see many people, but for today, you know, um, so 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 the ideal application that I want to teach you guys is the application that we do multiple things. So we're going to write an application that will do multiple things. For example, we're going to write an application that will send a message. 1 minute. We're going to write an application that will do multiple things. We're going to write an application that will just send a message. It can be a mobile application, it can be a web application, but we're going to write an application that will do this following tasks. So let's see if we can do it. The tutorial I'm going to teach is not about trying to teach you how to actually code, but I will tell you, if you know how to code, how you can get this done. So my application will be an application like a web browser. This is going to be a web browser. Then we can have an application that will run on mobile phone. And we will have another application that will run on a desktop. So now, then we'll have the core of our application called a server. And this application will be using a kind of a program to run the server, and this application will be running the server. So we want all these devices to see the same data. So maybe, for example, it's going to be the transfer function that we wrote here, which I'm going to explain. So to transfer money. So we're going to add more function here to say add register users, so we can be able to register these users into the transfer function. So now, if we want to transfer money, the money comes into this application. So the application that you're going to use only knows about you. So the application will come to this and check the user if we register the user within this functionality. So this application is exactly what we wrote. So the application will see if there is the user, he will complete the transfer and update the account here. So now, if another user is looking to the same account in different application, it will see the same value A that will return. So now, and this user can do the same thing. So the code of application is going to be here. So one of these things is that if you understand the flow of this type of application, you will know that this is a server. So in the server, what we're going to be learning is the modern way of writing code, which is called service-based architecture. Service-based architecture allows you to put things there easily without even thinking of the underlying technology to use. So if, just like the way I wrote this last week, I wrote this transfer function to transfer value to two people, right? So now if we run this application, okay, so what is going on? So I have to come here and do this. If we run this application, like go into the environment. If we run this application, now from here, so we're going to close this and close down. So I just want to show you what we did last week. So if we run this application, let's say Python, take the ID out and open it, put in an ID because we have to open it from the environment that we're working on. So if we run this application right now, let's do it. And it runs, this application can be accessed from the browser. So if we run this application, it can be accessed from the browser. So let's see how we can access it. To access this application, we can only access the account balance. So we have to add something like this to the browser, something like this. But now we need to check the account balance of a barrel. So if we say account balance of a barrel, so we know that the account balance is 110. So exactly what we did is just we went back and just read this data. So this data, so application is about you trying to monitor data.